1, 2, 3, 4. Palapalooza, Palapalooza. We're talking to you. I'm Palapalooza. Word. San Diego, thank you for tuning in to Palapalooza. This week we welcome Justin Pearson of the Locust to chat about his record label, his many projects, the music industry during COVID-19, his appearance on Jerry Springer, and much more. Enjoy.
What's up?
Justin Pearson. How you doing, my friend? Shitty question.
That's a loaded question. Yeah. I'm doing fine with all things considered. I mean, I'm not dead, so I think I'm doing okay.
The slogan for 2020, dude. 2020. Hey, I'm not dead.
Yeah, that's it. It is pretty fitting. I mean, not to make light of the situation, but
right.
Whatever. Yeah. So here we are.
Yeah, that's kind of where I wanted to start with you. You're so involved. You've got your record label. You have your different projects. We'll get to all of those. COVID-19, obviously immediate effects on live music and the industry. Do you see any long-term effects? Will this have a permanent effect on the industry?
If I had that answer, I would market the shit out of it and I would be super wealthy and I'd be able to do all the things that I want to do and I could hook up all my friends with rad stuff, like some kind of philanthropist. But I don't know, man. It's weird. Like, like we have the asshole in charge saying like, oh, we'll have a vaccine by October. And it's like, well, that's in fucking, 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I think the planet and humans will survive this, but it's going to be like another year or something at least. We're trying to figure out something that's pretty complex. So,
right,
man, if I had that answer, I would be so psyched.
I hear you, buddy. No, I hear that.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, say, okay, everyone gets vaccinated in summer of 2021. Will live music, will the music industry just, bam, go back to normal, or... are we going to see more streams? Are musicians adapting with the streams? Are we going to see like holograms of musicians in your living room? You know what I mean? Like, kind of joking, but I don't think it's too far-fetched.
So, I mean, there's a lot of direction with that, with the answer there, because I think, especially, I don't know, we like weirdo artists or punks or whatever you want to call
sure.
us, we're able to kind of adapt to, I don't know, the apocalypse, we're like, okay, well, we're going to fucking figure this out with like limited resources. I mean, if you're creative and, I grew up like going to shows in the sewer underneath the freeway and like, just random weird stuff like that. Like you just kind of go like, okay, we're going to just work with what we have, and so I think I think that a lot of artists are kind of just rolling with it and figuring out how to navigate. And I mean, it sucks. Like I had 4 tours get canceled. It's fucked. Like I don't, make much money as it is. And now I'm not making any. And so it's like, you got to figure out how to survive. And I think that it'll happen. It's just a tricky situation. But as far as like when the pandemic is under control or eliminated or whatever you want to call it, like, I don't know what people will do. I think part of it is people will be more cautious, but also part of it will be people are like fucking like ready to go and like rage or whatever, And I mean, unfortunately for me, most of the stuff I do musically requires an audience. I mean, I think like it's cool that people are doing like live streaming and stuff, but like I can't see myself doing that.
Yeah. Unless
it's done in like a unique way, but like. Right. It's hard to just kind of fart something out there and like, and be honest when there's like no exchange of energy with other human beings. It's just like, here's me and the 3 or 4 people I play with on stage, and then like no one else, and like we're supposed to rock out. Like that seems totally weird and forced. So.
Totally. I did a live stream from my backyard the other day and you're staring at a camera, there's fucking no one there. It's like, dude, I wish I could see you guys, it's totally different.
Yeah.
And I see you as a total showman and a front man. And, I have that comparison locally as, maybe compare you with Pat Beers, schizophrenics type, where you just get up there and you go crazy and you have fun and you feed off the energy. And it's so sad that's gone,
I mean, it's not gone. It's just on pause, I think. I feel like people are going to have to figure out a way to recreate what what we all had. You know, it'll happen. It's just going to take a little bit of time, I think. So
Sure, cool.
Yeah.
If you say so, brother, I believe you.
I mean, I think it's part of like our DNA. I mean, you can't just like eliminate live music
Sure.
forever. It's at some point we're going to have to adjust. And I mean, I don't know, maybe something will be birthed out of this that we don't even have any kind of way to like wrap our brains around yet. Like, oh my God, there's this thing that we didn't even know we could do. I don't know, whatever that could be. I don't know. Like maybe we'll all become telepathic or something. I'm not sure, you know, who knows?
I know you kind of kid, but I think you're on the front lines of that sort of idea. I think you're right. I think there is something out there. And I mentioned, you know, holograms. You see that with, you know, big performers like Prince and Michael Jackson. But what if that did become a little more mainstream and easier for the average musician to accomplish, you know?
Yeah.
Wouldn't be the same still, but...
No, I mean, I'm a fan of like science fiction and stuff, but like, sure. I don't know. I mean, I guess like certain stuff I do could fit into that realm. You know, I mean, I could see the Locust playing in that sense and having it be like fit the aesthetic of the band. You know, where it is like a sci-fi film. You know, I mean, that makes sense. But like in a traditional hardcore band, like I don't know, like I don't know if Def Club could just play to nobody and like be right and like sincerely like be into it, like you know, like performance wise, you know what I'm saying? Like right. I mean, yeah, we're sincerely into it, but like for instance, like you brought up Schizophonics, like I saw these photos from a live stream they did, and it was like, how the fuck does that dude do that? Like with no one, you know, with like 4 people in the room, like it just seems crazy. Like right. I would just no offense to them, but like I would feel kind of silly if I was like going ape shit, no one around, you know, like it would seem weird because, and it's not that I want to just go ape shit, but like the reason why I think people react that way, you know, what is pretty absurdly, and I mean that in a like a loving, endearing way, like I do it too, is because like we're feeding off of the audience. There's energy, there's an exchange of energy where it's like one, it's not just like we're performing. Sure. And that's that. It's like there's a crowd that's like feeding something to you as well. So it's, I don't know, it's a trip, man. We'll see what happens. But I mean, I think we're like in this weird, you know, kind of negative space or void or whatever for like another year, probably at least.
Yeah, sadly, I think you're right. And the Schizophonics, I think they did a live stream from the Casbah, and I tuned into that. And yeah, it's dope as a fan and audience member. It's different though, you know. It's one dimensional, like you said. Yeah. You don't have the bass hitting. You know, you don't have everyone sweating all over you and shit. You know, you got Pat Beers wearing a mask while he's singing, and you know, it is what it is. It's just different. But yeah, we try to stay optimistic, dude.
I mean, we can always complain about shit, but that's just, I think you kind of seem like, then you just seem like a jerk, you know. It's like shit's way worse. I mean, yeah, we can complain about not being able to play live, but like, I don't know, like my grandmother who's 91 was just put into you know, like a assisted living home, and I'm so scared that something's going to happen to her. It's like, and that if something happened to her, like I don't know. I don't really have to like talk about like, oh my God, I can't play live music. I'm like, dude, my fucking grandma got hit with the virus and passed away. Like that's way more hardcore and pressing. So I don't know. Like I'm grateful that I don't have to like deal with that stuff yet, you know? And so until then I don't know. Like, yeah, I always put like hardship and struggle into perspective. Like it can always be worse. Like we're going to be fine, or I am fine. And again, going back to the like, weirdo kind of like mindset of adapting to apocalypse, you know, the apocalypse, like I've got that under control, I think. So I think I'll be fine.
You mentioned the Locust, arguably your claim to fame here in San Diego. You want to talk about what the Locust is going through right now and working on?
Sure. I wish I could say much. I mean, we were rehearsing and we played some shows and we were writing some new material, and then we had a tour that was supposed to happen where we were doing like a co-headlining thing with Napalm Death, which was kind of insane to me. And then that got canceled. And so I haven't seen those guys since the pandemic started. I saw Gabe he came over here to get some of his gear to my house where we rehearse, and that was about it. So
Okay.
yeah.
I saw on social media you're re-releasing vinyl.
Swing Kids, one of my older bands, were doing like an anthology album. Yeah, that's the only thing
Awesome.
that's being re-released. But yeah, I mean, there is some Locust stuff that could be re-released. I just don't have the money, or like,
Sure.
I think maybe Anti, the label that we're signed to, could probably be the one to take care of that. But you know, everyone's being kind of cautious, which is smart, I think, label wise.
You got the Def Club LP coming, right? Dead Cross LP, wrapping up Satanic Planet LP, Planet B LP. So this is the year of recording and writing, I guess, for you, huh?
It is pretty intense. Yeah, I mean okay. Well, so I've been, since the pandemic, we've all been like kind of going hard on the Def Club record. I've been going up to Los Angeles and recording up there, and that's almost done. It's about like 90% done, I think, and then we have to mix it and master it and stuff. But
Awesome.
and then the Dead Cross album was tracked before the pandemic, and then we kind of were waiting for vocals, and then I think Patton started on that, and he's kind of enlisted me to do a bunch of vocals as well. So I did some for that, recorded here in San Diego, and then we're just kind of like still waiting. So I mean, that one's not done yet, and then oddly enough, the Satanic Planet record was done before the pandemic happened, and our idea was like to get Dave Lombardo to play on a song, and since the pandemic started, you know, we were like, hey, will you do this? And he played on one, and then he was like, let me do another one. This is rad. And then he was like, well, how about I just play on the whole record? And we're like, oh yeah, we weren't expecting that, you know.
Wow.
Thanks, pandemic.
Right.
And then so now he's in the band. So
wow.
yeah,
Okay.
and so that's being mastered, that's being mixed right now. So that's kind of probably the soonest one that will be done out of all that stuff. And then the Planet B stuff, Luke and I just kind of chip away at tracks here and there. I mean, we released a collaborative single we did with Adult like a couple weeks ago, I think. But that's aside from our new material. We just kind of been chipping away at new songs, which will eventually, you know, be a new album. But we're a ways away from getting that finished. I mean, maybe like halfway done with it or something. So
2020 is not slowing you down.
I mean, the thing is, like, what should I do? Just like sit and watch Netflix, like people keep talking about? Like, I mean, I kind of have I think I'm maybe a workaholic, and I can't. I mean, I'll allow myself a little bit of time to just do that kind of stuff, but for the most part, I think like, well, hey, there's things that like I could do, or like things I need to do or want to do, you know.
Sure.
And so I'll find a way to do it. I mean, granted, I would love to be on tour, but you know, it's not an option. So, you know, I do feel like this might sound like cheesy or something, but I feel like more sane or like whole or complete if I'm working on something. So even if like I'm not on tour, like when I would go up to LA, I would go up there on every Saturday and track, you know, a few songs, and then take the week to reword or to rewrite stuff and rework things, and then come back. And like it kind of made me feel normal a bit while I was working on that. Like I had this like a sense of purpose, but like something different than that. Like I don't know, it made me feel like stable or sane or something, because there was this sort of outlet. Otherwise, it's like, oh fuck, I have all these things to do, but like how or what? You know, I don't know. I needed a direction, I guess.
Right.
So.
You mentioned Mike Patton. You want to talk a little bit about your super group, Dead Cross, with Mike Patton and Dave Lombardo? How'd you get connected with those guys?
Well, I think a lot of it was like a long chain of events. I mean, I think, so the Locust and Patton became friends. I don't even know what year this was, a long time ago. And his label released the Locust Safety Second, Body Last. And then we toured with Phantomas shortly after that. And, you know, became friends with Lombardo at that point, because he's the drummer. And then so we were kind of like all in the same realm or world or whatever. And then randomly at some point, you know, Ross Robinson, the producer, a friend of mine, hit me up and was like, hey, I want you to plan this session, you know, with these people, and the drummers, you know, Dave, you know. And I was like, oh yeah, cool, let's do that. And he's like, can the dude from Retox, guitar player, play on it? And I was like, of course he will. And so we went and did a session for someone else. And then in that time when we were working on that, this kind of idea came up to do Dead Cross. And then it took a minute to figure it out. We recorded some stuff. We had a different singer. Gabe Serbian from the Locust was our singer, and then he had to quit. And so we Patton, we were already on Patton's I guess radar as far as Ipecac was concerned. He kind of was like, hey, we would like to release it. And then so Dave kind of countered that and was like, hey, you want to just join our band? We need a singer. And so then he joined, and we kind of took it from there. Started we worked the record, released it, and then we did an EP, and then now here we are on our second LP, and it's definitely like smarter and more. It's more like I don't know, like it feels like we found our skin finally, so like, not that our other stuff wasn't, but it's kind of like, well, where are we? What are we doing? What is this? And now it's like, okay, we got this. This is what we are. And so I'm pretty psyched on it. And again too, it's not like we're just like, relaxing about it. Like, it's still pretty weird and we're still challenging ourselves. I mean, even like Patton hit me up and was like, all right, we have 2 singers in the band, we're doing this. And I'm like, whoa, dude, wait a minute. I'm not like a singer like you, but like he's enlisted me to sing on a big portion of the record. And I'm like, all right, fuck, here we go, and
awesome, dude.
So it's it's going to be different and new and cool, and I think that's good, because I'm not a big fan of like bands that just keep releasing like a variation of the same record over and over. I like evolution, and whatever, however people receive it, that's on them. But for us, we're pretty psyched on it, and I think it's going to be rad. It's just it's slow moving, which is fine. It's kind of an interesting time, like we've been talking about. So yeah, that's that.
You mentioned singing. I saw that you recently sang on a Gay Agenda track. Yeah, that was so cool. I love those guys, man. They're so badass, and yeah, it was an honor to do that. And the song's ripping, I mean, I think like their aesthetic is perfect. So yeah, it was cool. It was great. What was the name of that track?
Homo Riot.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird. Like, I feel like I mean, I guess technically am straight. I guess sure. I don't like identify that, but I mean I am. Right. But it's funny because I met the singer at this club called Riches that I worked at. I worked there for like 8 years, and so we kind of became friends there, because he would cruise out to the bar, and I was a bar back, and we just. It's like, oh, hey, like out of like, the 400 or 500 people that were there every night, it was like, here's like, we related like with punk, and we're like, okay, cool. Like, we're on this level together. And then, so we just kind of became friends, and then, played shows together and stuff. And oddly enough, now it's totally incestuous. Their new drummer is Sal, who was in Some Girls with me, and he's in Secret Fun Club. So it's like, it's pretty rad, like to see, how everything kind of fits together. But regardless, I felt an honor to have like the honorary gay membership to the community, through Riches, but then also through like playing and being part of that song. Sure. It made a lot of sense too. It was like, like their record's brilliant, but I mean, I can't really relate to being a power bottom, but I can totally relate to like the sort of like protest mentality of the song that I got to sing on. It seems in line with my politics, and I was, it was like honest. I was like fully psyched on doing that. So, and I like how the track turned out. It was great. So yeah, it's cool.
That's awesome, man. Shall we talk about politics?
Sure.
No.
Here we go.
we don't have to. November 3rd's coming up, obviously. Anything you want to shout out in that regard?
So, okay, I don't think we live in a democracy. I think that even if we were to think that voting was effective with the two-party system, it's not. I don't think it has proper representation. And then also there's the fact that like we don't acknowledge the popular vote seems like also an issue, which has been coming up. So I'm not against voting. I vote. I just don't know that that's the thing that's going to change things. So
Sure.
I feel like the next step from voting would be voting with your dollar, where you spend money and what you support is very important. And then like the next step would be like, I don't know, like your presence in the community you live in. And then probably the next step from that would be like, activism. So I think that people look at something as like this linear thing, like, here we go, this is the day we vote. And then this is when the change happens. But I feel like change has to happen consecutively every single day. And you have to live by these sort of morals, or ethics that you identify with, whatever that is. Like people, everyone's different,
Yeah.
But you have like, no offense, but you have assholes that are voting on the fact that they are pro-life, and they're going to just vote for Trump because he says he's pro-life, but I know that dude's probably paid for like a fuckload of abortions. So it's like, it's like, okay, they're going to do that, but this dude's taking a dump on our environment or the economy or whatever, I mean, it's a pretty massive subject, but like people's technique in voting seems like sort of naive. And I'm probably naive as well with it, but I feel like there's more to it that like, also too, I think like voting beyond like the president or the presidential aspect of the election is way more important and way more productive, I think. So, voting on propositions and local governments, I think is really a big deal. I don't even know where to go at this point.
I usually don't talk politics, man, but I thought we'd touch on it, and that's all good stuff, buddy. Good perspective for sure. Have you gotten involved with any of the protesting here locally? You're still in San Diego, right?
Yeah, still am and will be. So it's been kind of crazy. Like, I mean, at first, with like Black Lives Matter movement, like really blowing up after George Floyd's murder was like pretty crazy to kind of experience. And I was concerned by the fact that there was a pandemic and like, being responsible, wearing a mask and social distancing, and then kind of saw that as a conflicting issue.
Sure.
But I went to some of them, and I'm glad I did. I learned a lot because I saw people and how they functioned and in the protests scenario, and everyone was really responsible, and I was very impressed. And then I also saw like Chase Bank burned down. I've never seen that before, and that's a whole other conversation. So I learned a lot, saw a lot, experienced a lot, and took a lot away from it. And I think as the protesting has kind of evolved or morphed into other elements, I think it's really interesting. I mean, I think that like for one, you have a lot of like this really fucking crazy rhetoric. Like I usually troll the president, the current president on Twitter, and I see him like talking about like Antifa and like he'll comment on like anarchists and agitators and looters, and he'll capitalize like the word anarchist, like and looters, like they're like giving them like with a capital L, and it's really crazy to kind of see like these sort of like nuances in the way that like someone says something to paint a picture to try to like draw in fear or anger, and like it reinforce like this concept of like hating downwards, like everybody on his base like should hate all protesters, where like, I mean, I think that people who identify with this sort of ideology are learning to inherently learning by manipulation to hate downwards and hate other oppressed groups of people, and so it's a trip to like see that stuff. So then like locally there's the Defend East County group, DEC from East County, who were recently like making threats and kind of starting some insane shit, at least online, but like also too like kind of flexing their muscle in person with like protests. Like there was this protest that I went to, the last one, which was maybe about a month ago, really well organized march. So I don't want to say it was a well organized march for women of color, and I saw online that this Defend East County group was like threatening them, and I thought, this is crazy. A lot of people were scared to go. They had actually canceled another march because of this, and so I thought to myself, like, I think I should go. It's dangerous or whatever, but I think I should go because I think more bodies make more of a statement. And also, there's power in numbers. And sure enough, like there was more of us than in the march than there was from Defend East County. And it was like just a bunch of like kind of like motorcycle revving and like flipping off and
Yeah.
like of people marching and like and stuff. But it was like I couldn't wrap my head around like why like these older white people were like pissed that people of color, specifically marching in a street for equality for women and people of color. So like I was like, what is the fucking problem here? And it's that whole like concept of hating downwards, and like white people are fearful of losing their power, and that's a bummer for those people. But it's the fucking time is due, and so it's now. And it's an interesting narrative. It's really crazy, and it's crazy to see people get aggressive. But then at the same time, it's also crazy to like have people of color like just embrace. I mean, me as a white dude, like they're like fucking white ally, like this is great, and like like there's something that's happening, and those unifying elements, which I think maybe aren't really covered on a larger scale. You'll see like a couple, rioters or looters, and that's like what is identified as like I don't know, Black Lives Matter movement, and you're like, okay, well. I'm sure there's a couple dicks out there, or like there's like it's been like pretty much obvious that there's like planted, people in there, like agitators starting shit just to fuck everything up. So it's like I don't know, man, it's weird. So seeing it firsthand and like being on, in the streets with these people, like marching for a progressive cause, I think really shows something else that we don't get to see even in our like tailored Facebook feeds, like there's something more to it. You got to go out there and like see it, and you got to support these people and solidarity, and you have to like realize that this is the correct side of history, and people will smash the oppression eventually, like these fuckers will end up, I mean, eventually, like, change comes one funeral at a time, and these old motherfuckers will die. It's just taking a while. So there's that. We can sit around and wait, or we can like try to push for other elements of change, which I think everybody seems to be doing. This is a weird time of reckoning. I think weird as in like. Interesting. I think it's like, oh, here's a pandemic, and on top of that, here's going to be like this massive social change, or the massive social awareness or uprising, and it just seems like it's such a crazy clusterfuck of stuff.
Yeah, well said. It's a pivotal time in history. It's divided like no other time I've ever seen. I'm almost 40, and I didn't live through the 60s, but I compare it to that time in some regard.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. It's another thing that I think about too is like, man, if we lived during like the Vietnam War, that probably was super fucked. Or if we lived through like even the Kennedy assassination, that probably felt insane. Like I don't know like how that would even play out. I mean, we lived through 9/11. That was kind of crazy too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, man. It's weird. I think we'll look back at it and reflect and take something from it that will be helpful. But until we get to that point, we're in it. We gotta navigate correctly. And I think that's really important. And maybe taking to the streets, we'll look back and be like, oh, we shouldn't have done that. But like right now, it's like it seems like the right choice.
Right.
I don't know, man. I was reading about like the Boogaloo Boys recently, the like white nationalist like right wing organization who like their jam is to like kill cops right now, and I'm like, who the fuck are these people like aligning themselves with? I'm so confused by a lot of this shit. Or like QAnon is kind of totally fucking insane, right. Like
there's to me, I mean, I don't know. It's there seems to be extremes on both sides, fringes on both sides, and both can be incorrect and have incorrect stances on things. Just from my perspective.
Possibly, but I feel like I don't know. I look at it like fuck. Yeah, it's okay. So like I think that there is obvious oppression in this world or in America. Let's just look at it like that. And like there is like white supremacy. And so I think it's hard to go like, well, fuck these people for rioting and for looting. Yeah, like it's not good to fucking riot and loot, and I get it, but at the same time, like if we were to give people justice and equality, there wouldn't be a need for that. And so I think that we need to go to the root of the problem and look at the system that's set up for these injustices and for these inequalities. That's the thing that's a problem that I think people kind of miss on. Yeah, there's people that are, it's like, oh yeah, there's people that are incorrect on both sides, but it's like, it's not the same. It's like trying to compare white power and black power. They're fucking not comparable. That's a huge thing to like, conceptualize. And I think a lot of people don't do that. Like with like the argument of Black Lives Matter is all lives matter. And it's like, no, it's not the fucking same thing. Please understand this, So, yeah, I don't know. I guess that's my comment on that.
No, well said. You're well spoken on the topic, and no, I definitely appreciate your input. I think that we need someone to unite us. I would love to see a candidate get in there that's really uniting to the country. Like bringing everyone together. It's that time. And I don't think we've had that in quite some time.
You're right. I mean, the thing is, like, it's kind of weird. I mean, I don't know, like, if I am on board for. I mean, even like people go, I miss Obama. And it's like, well, I mean, he was coined as the deporter in chief. I mean, he was like illegal drone strike happy. Like, I mean, he had a fuckload of really gnarly things going on his watch, I mean,
and I think he had the opportunity to unite,
there was progression involved in that for sure. But it's like, let's just let him off the hook because of this or that. It's like, well, no, hold on. He like did really, really fucked up damaging things. So it's like this kind of concept where like, I don't know. It's like when you go like everyone kind of like goes like, well, when I die, I'm going to go to heaven. And it's like, well, okay, but what about like, if you go to heaven, like what about the upstairs? Like, what if there's like some way cooler shit that we're not conceivably like able to like wrap our brains around? So it's like, oh my gosh, what a like Obama, and it's like, yeah, Obama, but like, fuck, man, there should be a person that is like uniting and like creates peace and isn't a warmonger or like fucked up like deporting like immigrants more than any other president before. Like, I mean, I don't know, man, it's a trip because it seemed like when Al Gore was running, like he was I think he's brilliant with his stance on climate change. I feel like that could have, if in another world, if Al Gore could have won, like who knows what, I mean, man, we could like the whole country could be running on solar panel or solar power, like that. That I don't know, like there's a million things to think about. Or like Bernie Sanders seemed like he had some pretty awesome shit going on, like just the basic universal health care. Like, I mean, again, like, you have like people pushing fear, like socialism. It's like, well, okay, I mean, public streets and public schools and stuff is socialism to an extent. So there's like this fear that they couldn't have, Bernie be like the Democratic candidate, or there's no viable third party. I don't know. I think like, to me, my ideal party is someone who's for peace and someone who's for the environment, and that's a breed that we don't get to see, ever.
Right.
So,
good old politics, my friend.
Yeah.
It's not, I didn't mean to go down this road, this path too much with you, but it's, I think it's good to talk about no matter what your perspective is.
Yeah, but I also like have this thing where like, there was like the viral video of Richard Spencer getting punched in the face and like fucking totally hilarious and totally righteous. And I was like, yes, punch them in the face, especially when they like, I don't know, they put like an erasure track to the background of it, like that's great. Like I'm all for it. But then I think about it and it's like that fucking that butthole like is still going to be a white nationalist, like you can punch him every time and over and over and over. It's not going to be like, oh my God, you know what? That punch in the face is going to make me be fucking cool to everyone. So I think that like, I get the tactic of just like fucking people up and fighting. Like I understand, like it's part of like, unfortunately it seems like part of human nature, but I do think that like there is a way to like connect and try to correct people that are wrong. And so I guess like, man, I can't remember this comedian has this show. I watched an episode where I think he's like a I don't want to say that he's like a black Muslim. He's not white. He's a person of color, and he meets with these white supremacists, and it was like just bizarre to see the interaction, and I don't think he was like normalizing anything, but like at the end of the episode, you could see this sort of like I feel like he made I feel like he connected with this white supremacist.
I think saw that.
It was so crazy to see that.
Yeah.
The fact that he took time and like listened to the person, and then in the sense like the white supremacist took time and listened to him too, and they, not that they came to a conclusion, but I feel like he made a dent in the problem. Not just punching the guy in the fucking face, which is again like I get, it's
totally fun as fuck sometimes, but it doesn't doesn't.
It's not going to change them. Yeah, right. It's not going to make them not a white supremacist. It's going to make them hate you It's going to make them even more of a white supremacist. So I don't know, man. It's a trip.
Right.
I get self-defense. I get it. I think there is justified violence, but maybe not sucker punching a fucking piece of shit in the face. Maybe not even embarrassing them or like making a funny meme about them or something, online. Like I think really having like constructive dialogue and getting through to these fuckheads and like explaining. It sucks that it's someone's duty that they have to do that. It's like, but these people were like at some point taught to be hateful and have prejudices against people of color or whatever they're against.
Right. No, that's a great point. It's taught. I mean, if you're racist, you were taught that.
Yeah. I mean, it's also too like the fucking dipshit that, I don't even want to say his name, like the child killer, like the 17-year-old, Kyle Rittenhouse. Like that's crazy too. Like at some point, like that kid felt that it was like acceptable to shoot someone. Like I barely want to fucking hold a gun or look at a gun, let alone like point it at someone and deal with the consequences of that. That seems insane. Like, I don't know, man. It's crazy. Like, I just can't wrap my head around that. But I wonder, like, how that kid's parenting was and, like, what he was exposed to. Right. It's beyond me, Like, man, if I shot someone, my first phone call would not be to a friend to tell someone I shot someone. The first phone call would be like, oh, I fucked up, or, like, something super bad happened.
Right.
Get the, help, get police or whatever. Like, but his first phone call was to, like, I guess, essentially brag about what he did, which just seems... It's just bizarre to me. I cannot relate in the slightest bit to that person.
The craziest thing about that video for me, and if listeners aren't aware of that, you're referencing Kyle Rittenhouse, is that right? Yeah. So he was arrested for, I think, first-degree murder is the charge. He shot a couple people during protests. But how, after he shot the people, he's walking down the street with an AR, cops roll up, and don't do anything to him. And my first thought is like, holy shit, imagine if that guy was black with a gun.
If he was black, they would have fucking shot him right on the spot.
Dude, yeah. I mean, it's horrible to say that, but I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, can't we all just get along? Rodney King.
That's something too that's interesting, because I was 16 when that happened, and I took part in protesting, and I was on the streets when that went down. Like, that was a huge eye-opening thing for me to see, and I think that America had to go through that to get to where we are now, because there was divisions in communities during then too. Like, you didn't have unity. It was like the cops against the blacks against the Mexicans, it was like, but here it's like you go on the street and it's like everybody is, it's people against police brutality and white supremacy. And that I think is a huge difference in what I experienced when I was, living through the Rodney King riots.
Yeah.
And also too, I remember it was like insane. It's way different because pre-internet. And I remember like being at band rehearsal and coming out of our rehearsal space and hearing something a few blocks away and be like, what the fuck is that? Walking out to the main street and people were everywhere on the street, like instantly. After, I think it was after the trial, I guess, that people first, I don't know what the first protest was, but it was like so bizarre to me that happened. And it's like, okay, well, this is what we're doing tonight.
Right.
And that happened, and it was brutal too. Like, shit was getting fucked up and burnt and looted right away. But there wasn't like there wasn't like this hyper, you know, I don't know, there was no ability to share it on social media. There was, you know, so it was kind of like my own, what happened in my own world was in my mind and what I was experiencing in my community. And that was it. Like I couldn't really share it beyond that, you know, so.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Social media plays a big role. I mean, in communicating and good or bad. You know, I don't know what your thoughts are on social media, but it certainly spreads ideas out there. And I heard someone reference recently, I think it was on a podcast, but in a lot of ways, it feels like we're in maybe an echo chamber of our own ideas right now, whether you are right or left.
Totally.
You're following those ideas that you want to follow and that feed your ideologies in your own mind, you know, and that reinforce them. You're watching CNN or you're watching Fox and you're following the right or left pages on social media, and it's just reinforcing what you think, whether it be right or wrong, you know?
Yeah, it is crazy. But I think that I'm starting to notice a shift. Like a good example is again, like when I troll Donald Trump on Twitter, I notice every day now a few of his tweets are tagged by Twitter saying like, oh, there's more, this is might be, you know, like this is incorrect or there's false information here, learn more about this. You know, it's
right.
like voter suppression or voter fraud or not voter suppression. He doesn't believe in that. He thinks that they're voting fraud, you know, with like mail-in ballots and stuff. And it's like every day there's like a little flagged message, and it's like, dude, how do people not see this? That I mean, again, that's his lifeline. That's his way to communicate to people is Twitter. So like,
right.
If Twitter is saying like, dude, you're wrong, like it seems, but I mean, again, I guess I assume that humans have the ability to figure this shit out. And I need to quit assuming that, you know, because people that do openly follow him in a positive manner, like that like respect him or think he's smart or something, probably think like, oh, fuck Twitter or fuck this, whoever flagged this or whatever. And it's like, no. Like it's wrong, dude. That tweet is totally wrong. Like right. he's full of shit.
Yeah.
So
I think we need to be united, man, somehow. I think the majority of Americans have the same goals in mind, for sure. I think there's small percentages out there that just want the fucking world to burn. But, you know, I think the majority of America is not racist. And that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, also too, like, you know, you got going back to like, I went on this like wormhole, like trying to figure out the Boogaloo Boys recently, and it's like, even even the name Boogaloo comes from, this is so fucking crazy. I was like reading this online, going like, this is not. What world am I living in? The word Boogaloo is from Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo, and I'm like, how the fuck did they like a like kind of campy breakdance, you know, like hip hop movie, like get the name of their white supremacy gang? Right. You know, I don't know, like it didn't make sense to me. But I mean it made sense, but like didn't make sense. You know, I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, like call your gang something cooler and like, you know, like more like. I don't know.
A bit of a conflict there, dichotomy or something, right?
Kind of.
Just a bit.
Yeah. And I, you know, also too, like Ice-T is in that movie. So it's like, okay, Ice-T, like the guy, he's the dude that like fucking cop killer. I mean, I guess that's probably why these people are killing cops. Maybe, I don't know. Like, oh shit. What a weird world.
It's a weird world right now. Yeah, it's crazy. We went down a little rant there, but let's reel it back. Let's reel it back into some positive stuff, dude. 31G Records.
Yeah. Okay.
We haven't really talked about that too much. Started in '94, right?
I think yes, it was '94. Weirdly enough, yeah. So we're at like 100. We're about to do 100 and we're about to do our 110th release. Yeah, so it's been fucking crazy.
Very cool. And how many bands do you have under you? I was checking out your page. It looks like about 50, right? Plus?
I don't know, a lot, but a lot of them aren't active or like we're, you know, like project kind of bands and stuff. So it's yeah, I don't know. I mean, active, like there's not that many, to be honest.
Sure. But
it's cool. It's a community of people and family, and it's I don't know. I somehow you know, I started this thing, but it was created by everybody, and it is a family of artists who I adore and respect and appreciate. It's awesome. So
Very cool. Yeah, Justin's label 31G, 3 spelt out 1G.com. Doing a lot of good there. Obviously, you're recording and duplicating, distributing for the most part.
Yeah, so we manufacture physical records, or we sell,
Cool.
or we sell digital stuff too as well. So it's you can get it online. But I mean, which is fine. I think digital music is fine. It is what it is, and streaming is what it is. But the main goal of 31G is really physical releases and vinyl specifically. You know, so.
Yeah, I was reading up on you somewhere. It could have been Wikipedia, but I saw that you do have a love for vinyl for sure. I was going to ask you about like Spotify. I mean, you've been involved in the industry so long, and it's obviously changed so much. What are your thoughts on digital streaming and all of that, honestly?
Well, so for myself, I just don't care. I don't think I'd ever just sit down and be like, oh, I'm going to put on this Spotify channel. Because I think also too, I have a problem with chosen algorithms. Like, for instance, if you were to pick a Locust related channel, I guarantee you 3 songs in to the algorithm, I'll be like, fuck this, dude. This is bullshit that they playing this, So there's that. But my biggest gripe, I think, with stuff like Spotify is that it's not really artist friendly. I mean, I think you have to have millions of streams to get $7 to split between 3 or 4 or 5 people, and it's just not set up, I think, for artists.
Sure.
But at the same time, though, I think that also gives a lot of exposure. So you can instantly, have stuff being played around the planet, and that gets more eyes on an artist. And I do see the benefits of it. I just think that the sort of platform is not really set up. I mean, it's not set up for artists. I mean, it's kind of like the whole Napster argument. You had the Dicks and Metallica complaining about it. I'm like, you guys are not the ones that should be complaining. You're filthy rich, But I get why they were doing it. But
he kind of called it, dude, a little bit, Lars. I mean, he called it in a lot of ways.
Yeah, but he's also the worst dude in that band and the worst musician in that band.
Him and his paintings. No.
That footage of him in that movie, Some Kind of Monster, is so insane. Where he's just upset and his dad's telling him that he sucks at drumming and stuff. It's fucking crazy.
Now I can sit here and stew in my anger and my frustration and my hatred all by myself.
It was a thing where it's well, this is happening, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. So I'm not opposed to it. I just don't think I think that it has to still evolve into something that might be a little bit more suitable. There was a really interesting article that I saw not too long ago about the debate or the comparison between Spotify and Bandcamp, and how Bandcamp is geared more towards the artist. And it kind of goes into the owner of Bandcamp's ethics of what it is. And I thought, okay, this is the right conversation that's being had, and I appreciated it. And I think it just took a minute to get there. I mean, if it wasn't for Spotify, I don't know if Bandcamp would be Bandcamp. You know what I'm saying? We have to start somewhere to kind of get to this next spot. So somewhere it might be okay, oh, there's this new platform that's totally in favor of the artist, and this is really cool for everybody and ethical and stuff. But it is what it is. I mean, I just appreciate as much as I'll never, as much as my royalties from Spotify, they're probably still under $4. I'm sure.
Crazy, right?
At this point, until that changes. I'll still look at Spotify and be you know what? It still helps me get out there. It helps my projects or projects I'm in, get heard and get exposure. And so I'll take that because I can't do anything else about it. It exists. It's not going to stop. And I got to just look at the positive side of it.
Sure. Yeah. And I love the fact that Bandcamp every once in a while will give all sales to the artist, right? They do that every once in a while. That's kind of cool.
First Friday of every month, they've been doing that, which is totally cool. And, we could all argue that they should do that once a week or something, but it is what it is,
yeah.
If it was me, if I was the owner of Bandcamp and I was rolling in it, I'd probably be fuck it, it's free from now on, or whatever. I don't know. That's not.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a businessman. I guess I don't think that way like they do. But you know, regardless, I think it's a really cool gesture. And when the first time it happened was during the pandemic, and I think that shows the sort of the ethics and morals involved in that that company or that platform. Like,
Right.
we're in a pandemic, artists are struggling, we're going to do this thing, and it fucking blew up. You know, I mean, that first Bandcamp Friday where they waived the fees, it was fucking insane, you know? And I was like, wow, this is so impressive. And that's probably like a step in the right direction that's going to create something else in the future or an adjustment. You know, I mean, if anything, Bandcamp caught onto that and now they're still doing it every first Friday of the month. So it's like, that's cool too, you know, like that's great, better than not doing it. So,
Sure.
you know, until Spotify steps up and we're like, well, we're going to do this, you know, maybe they do something, I don't know, but it sure the hell doesn't feel like it. I mean,
Not that I'm aware of. I wish they would pay maybe a little higher per stream. You see that they give Joe Rogan $100 million for X years. They have money.
yeah,
You know, they're fucking balling, dude.
yeah. I mean, I use it and it's, you know, it's linked all over the 31G website. Like I can't avoid it. But you know, at the same time, it's like, I think a good example would be like the 31G website on a release. It has a link to Spotify and maybe someone will listen to it and that'll be it. But maybe someone will listen to it and be like, fuck yeah, I want the lyrics, or I want to buy the vinyl, and like, you know, it trickles down into sales somehow.
Yeah.
Also too, it's a good platform. I mean, we use it for like, we do these exclusive 31G exclusive artist playlist, and that's fun and cool too for people, because it's like, oh, you know, like Jimmy Lavelle from the Crimson Curse did this playlist on Spotify, and you know, we like him because he's in, you know, Crimson Curse and was in the Locust and stuff, but he also like picked all this other really cool stuff. So it's, I mean, it gives like a narrative and an insight into artists and stuff. So there, I mean, it is useful, but at the end of the day, it's like, you know, no one's getting paid from it. So.
Right. Yeah, like you said, Spotify helps with getting artists' attention. And has it made the game more about shows and merch? You know, I think merch is really where the money is, right? For locals, at least.
Yeah, that's a tricky question. I'm always like trying to be like, why the fuck aren't people buying these shirts? They're so cool. I wish it wasn't my band. I'd wear it, you know. And then like no one buys it. You're like, oh well, there's that, you know. So I don't know. I mean,
Sure.
Or why is no one at the show? That was a thing too. But going back to like the concept of like no shows. I mean, fuck, could you imagine like if someone's like, all right, like no more virus, like here's a show, people are gonna lose their minds, you know. I mean, it could be the most intense thing ever in a good way, you know. So
I'm really hoping so. I think we'll have the small percentage, like my wife, that will just be a little cautious forever, or for at least a long period of time, to especially go in a big sweaty room with a bunch of guys. But yeah, I think it will open the floodgates. I think everyone's fired up and itching for a show, man.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. So also too, like, not to sound like a dick, but like I try to look at it like not a sweaty room of guys, you know, like it should be all, you know, inclusive. And I think that's I think there needs to be a nuance. And
Right.
maybe, you know, I don't know, whatever. I mean, that's always been like a really important factor for me to like, I don't know, like not be gender specific with music. And I get it, like harder music seems like it's kind of, you know, generally geared towards like dudes, but like I'm not into that,
Right.
you know. And I do get psyched when there is like a good portion of women at a show, or like feminine energy at a show,
Sure.
or from a band, you know. I mean, I think that's really, really important. So
Sure.
maybe your wife will be like, I'm gonna go mosh because there's this thing that's all inclusive. Like, who cares if there's not
Right.
that there's a potential pandemic? I don't know, whatever. I mean,
Yeah, no, thanks for correcting me. That was just a wrong word to use. Girls, guys, whatever. The point being is that during COVID, a live, you know, let's say a packed room at the Casbah would probably be worst case scenario for spreading the virus, right?
Totally.
I mean, unfortunately.
super spreader event. Like it's like a Trump rally, basically.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Regardless of girls, guys, just the fact, my wife she has pre-existing, so
Yep.
she's been super cautious. And, even if they did say, all right, guys, COVID's done, Casbah's having a rager with the Locust Friday night, she probably wouldn't be there. And
yeah. And also too, I mean, I don't know if I personally be like concerned, but I think people in the Locust probably be like, wait a minute, hold on. I don't know if we should do this yet, so I think it is like there is a sense of responsibility and caution, which, again, it's going to take a minute, I think, but it's at some point it will shift, I think, and it will happen. I don't know. Hopefully your wife will be in the pit.
Yeah, dude, I know. She's a big Green Day girl, She's a crowd surfer, and we miss our live shows.
Okay.
I'm looking back, memories are popping up of Kaboo a few years ago. We saw Tom Petty right before he passed away, and it's just sad as fuck, dude, to know that there's no live music. It's such a spiritual and positive thing.
Yeah. I think humans need it, I mean, that's probably why you see so much like added tension, I guess, it's like, keep everyone fucking pinned up for 6 months and see what happens. Like, we're not made for this.
And take away everything fun, take away your live shows and your weddings. And it's just, again, I don't mean to be negative, but it'll pass, dude. Everything will get back to normal. Hopefully. We got to talk about your favorite story, I'm sure, that you never talk about during interviews, the Jerry Springer Show in the 1990s.
Thank you, you go. Hey, guests are here to confess to their lovers. There is someone else in the picture. Now, please meet Justin. Justin says he needs to tell his girlfriend that he has been sleeping with her roommate and a mutual friend. Justin, what's going on?
Well, the story was all made up by Scott Bybin, who was a friend of ours from Philadelphia. He and I have had a long-standing friendship. He released one of my first band's records, and I've known him since I was 16. So he was out visiting. I was trying to figure out why he was in San Diego. He was out for something. I think there was like a show or a festival or something. He was out in San Diego, and we just like on a whim made a call, and then they took it. They bought it. So we went and did it. Yeah, it was a total joke and improv like shit show, but it worked out to our benefit somehow.
It obviously got you a lot of attention for sure. It helped the Locust in a lot of ways.
I guess so, yeah. And it wasn't my intention. My intention was just to do something interesting or amusing or a prank, like Dadaist or something. Like it just seemed like, let's just do this thing,
right?
And not really fully have a conceptualized concept, idea of like what its outcome would be, or the I don't know what people might take from it. We were just like, let's just do this fucking funny ass thing, and that was it. It was, but then in retrospect, it's like, oh shit, all these things happened, and like it kind of created this narrative or became this like weird cult thing, because there was a lot that went into it that I mean, in that article we talk about it a bit more too. Like there was a lot of stuff where that was edited out of the actual show that I feel like might have been very beneficial to our personal politics and to like, I guess to like punk on like a more larger scale than what, they were like, dress punk, but it's like, that's what they told us, and that's why we looked pretty fucking stupid, I think, but the concept of it was like to challenge things. So there's like, there's obviously like the gay kiss, which was like a big fucking deal at that time. Like I remember when that aired thinking like, dude, I'm fucked, man. People are going to like just beat me up, or like,
wow.
I thought like this is going to be bad, and people would recognize me on the street, and I'm like, oh my God, fuck, they're going to think I'm a fag and kick my ass, and I'm like, oh my gosh, wow. And like not one person said shit to me. Everyone was like, fucking so rad, that you were on Jerry Springer. And then it was crazy too, because like my grandparents, uncles and shit, like figured out that I was on it, and they're all homophobic, super fucking homophobic, and they're like, that's cool, like you were on Jerry Springer. I was like, dude, I was making out with a guy on the show, like, and he's not even like a good looking guy, like that's crazy, and like and people were like psyched on it, and I was like, okay, there's something going on here. This is fucking bizarre, which, not to go back to the politics, but it's like that's kind of why we have a dipshit as a president too. I think, like it's like he was on TV. That's so cool. And it's like goes against your morals. Anyhow, so like we did the thing, and but they edited out like such righteous shit that I wish like still was in. They have it too much for TV, like too like
Really?
I don't know, controversial or racy or whatever.
Like what? Give us an example of one thing they took out.
Okay, well, there's two examples that really stood out. One of them was there was a guy in the audience, and he was like this kind of like a tough guy kind of dude in the back, and he was like, he like directed this question to me. It was like on the Q&A part. He's like something about like how it went like really fast. Like all of a sudden, he was like, "You're a fucking faggot," or like you're a homo or something,
right?
Stupid. And I was like, all right, you want me to fucking show you faggot? Come on, and that was like,
yeah,
like, oh shit, I'm gonna go fight this guy. And like he got up and like ran down the stairs, and I got up and ran up the stairs, and I was thinking like,
where's security?
I've been beat up enough to know like it's not gonna be that bad if I get beat up. It's gonna be a couple punches, and I'd already been punched a few times by Alicia on the show and stuff. So I was like, we didn't connect, and I knew they wouldn't let us connect because I signed the waiver, and like I don't know what the audience does, but I'm sure the audience could probably sue the shit out of them if I got to him and fucked him up, or like I don't know, like I just know it wouldn't happen. So like, and like I don't want to fight anyone. I didn't care what the guy thought about me. I mean, I'm sure most of the audience thought I was like a terrible person for like making out with a dude, but like,
right.
As soon as he said like faggot, I was like, all right, it's on, dude. Let's just fucking go, and like, and it was. Again, for me, like acting, and then there was another part where there was this guy in the audience that was like, I want to ask the rock star, what God would think of all of this. And I was like, there is no God. And like the crowd just fucking went berserk, and they were like throwing shit at me and booing. And I was like, fuck yeah, man, this is great,
Wow. Crazy. And again, the 90s. I mean, what year was that? And how old were you?
I don't remember, man. I think it was 99.
Just a totally different time. I mean, that would be a different episode in today's day and age, right? Completely, if it were to happen at all.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I don't think like maybe the homophobic thing wouldn't have happened. The God thing might have happened and got the same kind of reaction. But
yeah,
yeah. I mean, I don't think that. To be honest, though, like I don't know if that story makes sense in 2020. Like who cares?
Yeah,
like who gives a fucking shit? And we kind of thought that too. Like, who really gives a shit about this? Like, this was so stupid.
Were the producers aware that your story was fake? Did they care, or did you sell it to them?
No, that was like one thing that we never could admit.
Okay,
and we had to sign this waiver that was like, if we're lying, we'll get fined $10,000 each. And we're just like, what the fuck are we doing? So yeah.
Crazy, dude. I had to talk with you about that briefly. Tim Piles shared that recently. I don't know if you saw that, man, but I'm sure you know Tim pretty well, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you play music in San Diego, you should know Tim, and if you don't, I don't know what happened.
Of course, yeah. Any advice for local musicians right now?
No, fuck no. I don't have any advice. I think that's like... I don't know what I'm doing, so don't listen to me, man. Like, just do whatever.
Oh,
like,
come on.
My advice is like, just search your heart and your mind and your soul, if we have those, and like, just try your best and good luck. And if you figure out the answer to some of this shit, please
let me know.
Shoot me a message on Instagram.
What really, I mean, you're so involved with music, dude, and it obviously is your life. What part do you like the most? I mean, it's such a layman question, but as a musician, what really drives you to keep going? Is it the live performances? Is it just the writing process?
No. It's everything. But I think like really, okay, so Weasel Walter was in this documentary, Parallel Planes, and he said, he's like, this part of this interview where he says this thing, and it's like, it was like, fuck, you just said it, dude, that's it. Like, and he said that like he doesn't make music or play music for fun. He does it because he has to. It's like I don't know. I don't really know what he means by that, but like for me, it's like I was like, oh my god, you're right. It's not necessarily like this is fun, guys. It's like no. This is like absolutely like detrimental to our existence because of so many things. I mean, it's a way to it's the one effective way to communicate that goes beyond all this shit like goes beyond social norms or politics or language or age or whatever. And then, it's like there is something like cathartic about it. And there's also like a way to communicate and to connect that's like a little bit beyond like basic human interaction. I mean, most people I think that listen to this or whatever, like can pick a song that like, without sounding like cheesy, but it like moves them. You're like, okay, this is something emotional for me. And it's hard to put it into words. It's not simplistic. It's not like just a song. There's something else to it, and so it's that I think that kind of helps, because again too, like, not to keep going on and on and on, but like I like recently with the Swing Kids reissue, that it's like for a while I would like really be critical on my contribution to that band. I think that the band is good, except for my part. My vocals are not good and my lyrics are not good, and I'll be vocal about that. Pun not intended. But like people will respond to that and they'll say like, dude, you need to fucking chill out and like give yourself some credit, because like this band saved my life. And I'm like, what? Like, wow, fuck that. But like, again, like I grew up like thinking like, okay, well, like this band saved my life. So not to give myself like, I don't want to equate myself with, I'm not going to name the bands that have saved my life, but like, I don't want to equate myself with those things that are like so grand, but to someone else, it meant something to them. And that's really important. And I think that like it goes on to a bigger thing where it's not like, this is fun. Like, oh my God, this is so much fun. And we're getting paid and we're getting, like it's awesome. I mean, yeah, it's fun, but first of all, it's not always fun, because being in a band with multiple people is really complicated sometimes and very hard to navigate. But it's just something that's beyond that. It's a necessity for survival, I think, to some extent.
Awesome, man. Yeah, great answer. A universal language for sure. And I was thinking about this the other day. The next amazing show I go to, I'm going to cry. 100%. I mean, I joke, but I'll probably get fucking teary-eyed, dude. It's just so missed. And that live music feeling you get, dude, I'm going to cry like a little baby. 100%.
You know what's crazy though, too, to think about that? Like, I wonder how fucking intense it will be on every level. Like, I mean, for me, it's like, I remember the last show I performed and I was like, man, that was crazy. Right. And I'm glad we did that. But could you imagine like doing that again right now? We'll go fucking ape shit. Like, you think Schizophonics put on a good show? Like, Jesus, you're gonna be like, their next show is gonna be just over the top. I mean, that dude's gonna fucking jump through the roof. Like.
Absolutely. A new appreciation, dude, I think is one positive thing from 2020, right? For all things.
Yes.
For fucking restaurants, for bars, for live music. I mean, a new appreciation, right?
Yeah, that is a really interesting thing to say. Yes. Yeah. It will be.
Yeah. Justin Pearson, dude, all the very best to you. Thank you so much for your time. All the best to 31G Records and all the amazing projects you have going on. Do I need to list them all, bro? No. Def Club, Dead Cross. You got some good stuff coming out. Satanic Planet, Planet B. Very, very nice catching up with you, dude. Local legend for sure, and keep it up.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome, dude. Thanks so much for listening to Palapalooza with Justin Pearson. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Again, check out 31g.com, all spelled out. Expect some new music from Justin's projects, Def Club, Dead Cross, Satanic Planet, Planet B. Check out The Locust if you haven't. It's amazing. Justin, thank you again for your time, man. All the best to you, San Diego. Be safe. Be healthy. 1, 2, 3, 4. Palapalooza, Palapalooza. We're talking to you. I'm Palapalooza.